Hi everyone, it's me again, Lungi. I work for the Young Women for Life movement, and today I'm having tea with my sister Sophia, who also work as a member of the Young Women for Life movement. And we are here again with the interview for the Development Action Plan. In this interview, Sophia, as you know, Young Women for Life movement, its establishment, who established it, and everything. So I'm not going to go all through the introduction of the organization itself. But here we are today, Sophia, again with the challenge or the social ills that is affecting us as the community, affecting our young children, affecting us, the youth itself, for the future. Today we are having this research based on the underage drinking. In this research, the Young Women for Life movement want to understand and to know why young people start drinking at the age of 13. That is one study that is done or found by the people of the kids' health. They say if people who regularly had 5 or more drinks in a row starting at the age of 13 were much more likely to be overweight and have high blood pressure at the age of 24, more than their non-drinking peers. So people who continue drinking at their adulthood risk managing their organs like the liver, the heart, as well as their brain. So actually drinking can be a way of relaxing. Other people say it's a way of socializing. We all know that it's legally sociable. But however, now it's becoming an issue where young kids are also getting involved. And now we are losing people, or we are losing our heroes for tomorrow. So, Sophia, according to the government, he says there's a number of factors that influence young kids to be engaged. One of them will be the bad role models for parents, as they lack parental skills. We all know, especially during the season that we were in, thank God it's over. Festive season, young kids were drinking freely on the streets. Other parents say it's okay for them to drink. It's becoming fashionably norm. Also, the fact that there is a peer pressure, everyone wants to belong, and we all understand that for young person, a social identity is often molded by their social group and by their desires to fit in a group. So peer pressure also plays a most important role for them to be able to engage in such bad behaviors. Again, we know that from each corner of the street in our townships and location, we find illegal shebeen, tavern. Alcohol is easy accessible, and some of these taverns and shebeens are not enforcing the rules and the rules and regulations that they need to follow according to the Alcohol Liquor Board. So now, according to you, Sophia, you can start by introducing yourself, and as well as give us your impact on this topic, and what do you think could be the solution. Can you give us at least 2 or 3 of your opinion or solutions, yes, perspectives on how we can deal with this challenge?
Of course, Laila is taking up all the time while I am the interviewee. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia. I am an English teacher by profession. I am also a permaculture facilitator by, once again, another profession. I'm also a chairperson of my own NPO, is Mbelego, which means to carry. As we know, just the name is self-explanatory. Imbelego is a baby carrier, as we know. However, in this way, we are looking at the literal form of the word, and also we are looking at the metaphorical form of the word. We want to help our young people. We want to carry them. Because as Laila mentioned, sometimes some of the issues that we are having, especially of alcohol, young children starting to drink as early as in their teen years or even preteens, we know that sometimes it's the lack of parenting skill, but we need to find out, where did we go wrong? I'm all about finding out the gap. Where did we go wrong? Where did parents go wrong? I personally, I'm just 27, not yet a mother, but I have raised three of my cousins and my niece and my nephew. So I know a lot about parenting. I'll say yes. Of course. Yes, and I'm a very strict parent for someone my age. I'm very, very strict. I do want to touch on the matter that, as I said, our slogan, our motto in Izimbelego is "We carry you." We understand that parents are so busy, occupied. Parents don't want to live not a traditional way of life, but what we call fashionably traditional way of life, I'd say.
And forgotten cultural values.
Of course, and have forgotten their cultural values. So that also is one factor that is leading to parents losing touch of how to take care of their kids. For example, a lot of parents today are in the working world. Of course, we do understand the factors. Certain parents are divorced. Certain parents need to, step in and take the role, whether they're single parents or not. However, because today parents are working a lot,
yes,
they are trying by all means. For example, the whole thing of having nannies, of having caregivers for their children, it's really good. However, you cannot let someone else parent your child. Exactly. And you're getting back from work so late, you barely spend time with your own children. You don't really know what's going on in their minds. We don't know how our children are maturing, and at the same time, we're giving them, as parents are giving their children, mature all you want, and then at the end they act blank when certain things happen in their children's life. For example, the whole technology, the advancement of technology is really good. It's very helpful, it's impactful, and it is leading society to a better place. However, we cannot deny that young people are using social media, especially children, teenagers, to be more specific. They're using social media not in the right way. I'll make an example. For example, TikTok. TikTok is such a positive, social media platform. Whether you are advertising things that you're selling, advertising even if you are selling yourself, we know that we have to be that good in selling. By the way, I'm not going to touch on that. But we have a lot of young high schoolers in South Africa who are on TikTok. Also, those who are in middle school or primary school. And the content that they are making, what they are seeing there. For example, I just get on the story. I had a story on TikTok where a young student from a certain high school made fun she made a video and made fun of her classmates and say, she put pictures of different classmates and would say, this classmate is, sort of give us the tea, giving us the tea of the certain secrets that are not known. And the parents stepped in and said, make that very same video apologizing, even to the teacher, because she made a video also including the teacher being a divorcee or something like that. So you're understanding that parents were the one who gave the children, parents are the one who give children phones in the first place. I understand they're giving phones maybe with a certain intention. South Africa is becoming very modern today. We have our children taking public transportation. We need to call them. We need to know what's going on. But what are you giving your child a smartphone, latest phone for?
Sophia, to catch you on that is also another influence, or that is also another factor that influence our kids. It's also part of the influences that government is saying. The social media platform as well as the advertisement outlets are also playing a role also making our kids feel that alcohol has to be something which can be done freely,
openly. It's cool, it looks nice. Of course, as I said, advertisement, the media on its own plays such a huge role in this as well. We're seeing that children would understand and know today that alcohol it's something seen as cool. It is something that is maybe even delicious, so as to say, not delicious, but
Yes. Welcome back after a short break. I feel like I'm in a podcast, you know?
Except that we are on a video.
Except that you are on the video, and that this interview or this research is very important because we really have to come up with a solution on how to tackle this issue before it get out of hands, of which I already believe it is out of hand. But what I wanted to say is that there's still a time we can make a change. Isn't it that we are working very hard to get agents of changes? You know, so that's important. So Sophia, you were still reminiscing on the fact that many parents are now careless when it comes to their kids' parental skills. Sometimes it's not really careless, but it's a way where parents are feeling that they are trying so much to do something, but then at the end of the day, they are also destroying something out of it.
Yes, that is very true. I think parents are just they are doing their job. Honestly, they're doing well. We have to give the credit. However, I think the only thing that is going on right now that needs solution is that let parents be the one to take charge of their children's lives, to be the parents, step in as parents, and don't let phones parent your children, don't let your caregivers parent your children, don't let technology do the parenting. Another thing is that as well, very important, parents are forgetting that they just have to raise their children like how they were raised, with just taking out a few things out of how they were raised. For example, we do know, born in the 90s, 80s, 70s, we know parents were more stricter. Parents were, using yes, using the hand, beating their children. Let's say you don't want to be doing that. That's okay, but do more talking with your children. Communicate. That parents are losing. We know, being born, as I said, in the 80s, 70s, and before that parents didn't really talk much to their children. But now add those things that in your head you're telling yourself that it's modern. It's a modern way of life to communicate with your children, but don't let how you were raised. That's very important, because we've become whom we've become because of how we were raised.
It's true.
We had no phones. We played outside. We got dirty. Our children need that. When we were in our teen years, we understood certain things without having to be told of what they are, because
we're so active.
Honestly, if you look at it, a long time ago, parents didn't even talk that much, but the gestures and facial expressions said so much. I'm not saying we should be like that, give our children the side eye, but I'm saying that it's the same things. We have to parent our children the traditional way of life. Let them play, let them, develop. Playing is not just playing and getting dirty. It's developing a lot of skills in our children, a lot of artistic skills, a lot of extra moral activities. And that's another second point as well. In South Africa, to be more specific, because the research is for South Africa and even Africa at large, children don't have extra moral activity. They don't have anything to do after school. We're just saying do chores. And today, it was better in our days doing chores, and going to play. Today, they don't even do chores. They've got someone who does that at home. They've got a helper at home. If they've got a helper at home, they're coming back from school, what are they going to do? They're going to be on their phones, That's where they discover. I think it's really important. Also for parents, one more thing. Just like how I think a lot of parents in South Africa, they're not advanced. And I'm not going to say this as to be biased, but working in the online world, when you search things up, you have pop-up things that show pornography or pornographic videos.
Yes.
You're raising a teenager. Don't you think they're going to want to explore? You're having alcohol, all of those things. That's why I'm saying don't give them phones, Just have a PC at home and let them monitor how they use it. That's another thing as well. Yeah, that's just my opinion. And some of the things, just getting into a little bit into the solutions of that. As I said that I'm a permaculture facilitator, and also I am the chairperson of Invelego. Yes, so it is very important. As I said, we carry your children, so we're there to parent your children. I'm not saying that parents I have given up or are not doing their best, but we're there to sort of take you back to how we grew up, and just adding a few touches and element of this technology and modern way of life, but leaving out the things that weren't good back then. So I think it is important. Some of the solutions I'd say is that communicate. Communication, it's very important. It's very important, and it is just you developing. Parents don't communicate with themselves. That's the problem. How are they going to communicate with a 13-year-old? We as parents, I'm going to stand in as a parent today also, just to be more versatile. We as parents, we don't know ourselves. We live our whole lives not finding out, not discovering who we are. So it's so difficult for us to communicate with our children who, if you get my point. So I think it is important that we, stretch out the whole idea of extra activities after school. Keep our children occupied with things that are going to develop their brain, train their brain. Actually, as I say, train your brain. It's one of the modules that I teach in our permaculture classes, that you need to train your brain to to get started on whatever you're doing. So our children need their brain to be trained. They need to know more about the world, to be opened and know so much. And also I think one thing is, as I said, I'd always say this, permaculture will always be one of the solutions, to children. Look at a lot of young girls from the age of 13. Let's teach them how important and how sacred the body is. Let's teach them more about the human anatomy of the body, so that they can understand that if I am intoxicating myself or smoking, what am I doing exactly to my body? Sophia. That's another thing which is very important. So those are some of the things that we also teach. Get to know what happens through your body. I mean, in our classes, we learned in life science, natural science. We learned that it was so embarrassing to look at the boy's private part or yourself. But today you have to teach your children all about those things, so that they know what how important their bodies are. If they value their bodies, they're not going to want to
themselves.
Exactly. So permaculture plays a huge role. As I say, permaculture is not just about farming or a different approach or method of farming, but it is a way of life.
A way of life, true.
When you're teaching those young girls and boys as well, we're not being biased, you're teaching them how to view life from a different perspective and a different lens. So having these activities where they learn farming, it's just like this. We grew up not eating onions. Whenever we you pick out the onion from your food. But today we eat all vegetables and all fruit, because if you grow them in your own garden, you're gonna eat them.
Of course.
It's true. I'm seeing this also with children that we're raising. They're not picky eaters like how we were. So permaculture plays a huge role in grooming their minds and opening their minds to the world, and also letting them understand what is out there for them. Because we're not just going to now give them false hope or teach them. Also show them the opportunity, that lays that comes with what they're learning. So permaculture also comes to as a rescue. We know that a lot of families are in South Africa and in Africa, insecure. They are food, they are not food secured, and at the same time they are under the poverty line. So if their teenager has a garden at home, it starts feeding the family. They start selling, So there's so much more, that it creates income as well. It creates
entrepreneurs.
Exactly. That's what we're building. We're not building people who are going to be sustainability. We're not, we're not creating people who are going to be salarymen, but people who are going to be the one to pay salaries to their workers. That's another thing.
Wow, that's excellent.
So I think that just to sum it all up in a nutshell, actually, some of the solutions, as I said, I think we need to create a program where we are, sort of filling in the gap, or bridging the gap between children and parents. So if we form a program like that, it helps parents to know how to parent their children,
or to understand,
or to understand or relearn, or sort of unlearn certain things. Also, having that program, it's not just that program. Within that program, we have the introduction of permaculture as a way of life. Within learning about permaculture, we also teach these youngsters more about the human body. They need to be taught what happens, in their body, and how important it is just to understand the sacredness of the body in itself. So we need to have an introduction of human anatomy and as physiology. Well, and physiology, so that they know that you are what you think, you are what you eat as well, so that they know that it is, I'm not going to take any of these, whether drugs or alcohol or anything. Also, this program will keep them off the street, keep them off being on idle. It will also grow their mind. And as I said, having a program where you're filling in the gap between parents and children, we have to understand everyone who becomes a parent later on, or at some point, will have this problem of generational gap. We know, because you're the parent.
Generation Z.
Yes. So we understand Generation Z. I mean, we have a lot of things to say about them, and sometimes it's the words we're saying, it's the words we're uttering, it's how we're pinpointing and putting sort of titles to how they are. We're not seeing the danger of this. Everyone, just an example, in South Africa, everyone says the 2000, which is Generation Z, and we say everything, we shame and blame, and we're sort of like, we've given up, like as if there's any difference, in this generation. When I think there isn't, actually. We need to step in with a program that grooms their mind, that trains their brain, that kicks them off the streets, that closes the gap between parents and children. Because as much as parents are parents, but they need to become students in this program as well, so that they get to know their children. And children also need to understand the mind of parents. So it's a two-way street than a one-way street. So I think formulating and developing a program like this, I see this very big. I see it being, it's going to make noise in South Africa. It's going to put us in the map as well, because no one is doing this in the world, actually, to be quite honest. No one cares about saying, what can we do to help our children, So coming up with this will help children, and it's something that is going to create, it's a never-ending, program, and it's going to help children, and it's going to create these future leaders that we want, who are prosperous, who are dignified, who are respectable, who are business minded. So I think it is very important for us to create such a program. It is a need, actually. I think if you look at it right now, it's not about if you want to or if you don't want to, but it's become a need that we need to help our young people. We need to come in, our young girls, our young boys. We need to help them be educated, also, that when they see each other and meet up in whatever space, whether it's school or whatever, or wherever place, they don't see each other first thing as like attraction of he's going to be my guy, or I'm going to be his girl. But for them to understand the value of girls need to value themselves, pride themselves. Well, if he likes me, he needs to earn me. It's those kind of ideas, so that our children won't just give themselves away. Drinking alcohol, by the way, is just allowing yourself to be insane, vulnerable, and and be vulnerable for that time, because anyone can do anything to you. So it's very important that we make them understand how to pride themselves and how to be earned, then for them to throw themselves off to men or boys or whomsoever. So I think it is very important to create such a program. It's going to help children to become the best and the better version of themselves, parents as well to become the best in what they're doing, and also for them to learn something new. Honestly, it is something new after all. So I'm very thankful for being given the opportunity, and I hope that this is something taken very seriously. It is a need. It is.
Wow. That was a mouthful, I would say. Thank you, Sophia, very much for this interview, and I think your solution screams the best out of them. One of the things that you have touched, if I may paraphrase, is the fact that we need to have a program that will bridge the gap between parents and children. In that way, this is when the parents are able to learn their children. Sophia, I would like to also touch on the fact that I like when you talk about bridging the gap, because the problem that we have now is that the young kids that we are talking about were born from or were born by teenagers themselves.
Exactly.
So now it was people who were very young, who were vulnerable at some sorts, who made choices that we cannot look at them and judge them. But then that was the case. And now they were supposed to be a mother and raise their children. Yes, you cannot teach someone to be a mother, but now can you imagine when you are still maturing yourself, but now you have to raise someone who will have to be a full responsible. So we do understand that there are grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts who also plays the role in our home. But at the end of the day, we want children who will value their parents, because already when you are growing up at the age of 13 or 15, and you know that the gap between me and my mother is another 13 years gap, it sort of also just look at your mom in a way that it can be judgmental.
True.
Just thinking, oh my God, my mom,
she had me when she was 13.
She had me when she was 13. What kind of a girl were you? How did you
you can't tell me what to do.
You can't tell me what to do. Now we need to show these children that being born by your mother when they were teenagers, they might have done mistakes, but you as a child, you were not a mistake. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm saying, I'm not sure if I make sense.
It is.
Being born is not a mistake. I might made a mistake to have my child at an early age, but my child is not a mistake at the same time. So we really need to bridge the gap between the parents and also the children to understand each other, because now we find that parents are having competition with their children. They still feel very young and frisky, and while at the same time their children are rebellious, So there's that commotion.
I can't handle
and conflict.
you. I'll just give you the phone.
Yes, because
I'm in my 30s as well.
Of course.
You're my teenager. There's competition as well.
I'll just give you what I didn't have.
Exactly.
During my time. So I think that program is very important. Not necessarily that we will be teaching people how to raise their children, but we will be giving more understanding on how to understand their children's well-being during this age and day. And again, you also talk about these kids also being involved in physical activities. You talk about permaculture. I know one of the saying that says, you have to eat your food, your healthy food, in a way that you cannot eat medicine as your food, so now it's very important what you consume in your body. So also young kids needs to know what sort of a problem they're creating for themselves if they start taking alcohol and consuming it into their body. They may look at certain celebrities or certain advertisement on TV which are showing off alcohol, but at the end of the day, they need to know what it's doing into their body. So this program which will also be teaching them the importance of how to take care of themselves, will be very important. So thank you so much, Sophia. You have done such a wonderful job. It's time for me to say bye.